Welcome to the Village Talks podcast. This is a space where physiology meets lived experience, where we talk honestly about the body, the nervous system, relationships, and the real questions families are asking without fear-based narratives or one-size-fits-all answers. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Jamie.
And I'm Dr. Brittany. We're chiropractors, perinatal specialists, and humans who work closely with families through preconception, pregnancy, birth, postpartum, and early parenthood. Whether you're preparing for pregnancy, currently pregnant, newly postpartum, raising a little one, or supporting someone who is, you're in the right place.
Let's get into today's conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Village Talks podcast. Today is a very exciting topic for all of us. It is one that does not get enough attention, and that is postpartum. So we spend months preparing for pregnancy. We spend months really preparing for birth. And then when it comes to bringing babies home, there's a lot of things that we don't prepare ourselves for, or things that take us by surprise that we have clients all the time that tell us we wish they would have known sooner. So we're going to be diving into this topic of a very transformative time. It's going to be talking about all the different things when it comes to newborn care, what to expect postpartum for your healing, how partners can support all those types of things. And joining us today, we have Rachel Bulow. Yay, we're so excited to have you here. She's a postpartum doula, a BRM pro, which we'll get into that. And then she's also a perinatal yoga instructor. And she has been in this space for a very long time, and we are so excited to have you here on this podcast to get your perspective of helping, because you're really with families in the heart of postpartum. Mm-hmm. And so to get your perspective on it and what you wish people would know. So we're going to start with, your story and how you got into it, and then also just what continues to inspire you today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here. I could talk about postpartum all day, every day. I kind of do. But my journey into parenting started way before I even knew what the word doula meant. My background is all in early childhood education. And in grad school, I was studying infant attachment and all kinds of things from the parenting side. And I remember having a conversation with my dad. He was like, so what are you going to do with all of this education, Rachel? And I was like, I don't know. I just want to be a parenting coach. And that was the word that I had in my head. And then I moved to Denver and I took on a nannying job with the sweetest, tiniest little babies who were seeing Dr. Jamie at the time. Well, one of them was a nanny share. And their mom sent me to Baby and Me yoga at Belly Bliss. And I was like, what is this? Why do I not know what this is? Because I had been teaching yoga. I've been teaching yoga for about 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh my God, could I combine these two loves of mine? That little baby ended up having a younger brother whose pregnancy was pretty challenging for mom. Mm-hmm. It was during COVID. And I was like, oh my gosh, I must get my prenatal yoga teacher training, must figure out how to support this family. And then he came home, a teeny little preemie, and he was my full-time kiddo from the get-go. And I was like, oh my gosh, this newborn stuff is so crazy. This breastfeeding stuff is so crazy. And so I think it was maybe 5 months later when he was, 6 months old or so that I did my postpartum doula training. Yeah. And that was almost 5 years ago. And so the thing that really, really inspires me most, and to your point about what's keeping me going today, is just how much I've learned even in those few years of being a doula, and how much parents deserve to learn before they are diving into this period of postpartum. Because a huge part of my job is, we call it preemptive guidance in the postpartum doula world. And so it's just, hey, this is coming, or this might be coming. Here's some things that you might want to know ahead of time, instead of we sometimes say I don't want to put out fires in a family's transformation. I want to feel like they know what's coming a little bit.
Yeah,
so,
totally. Yeah, and you can speak to that so well because you've done it.
You've done it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's interesting. I think we're always challenged with finding the balance between, we want to give you a realistic expectation. Mm-hmm. It's not all puppies and rainbows. Yeah. But also, you can't fully prepare them, and we don't want to scare them.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a really unique and valuable perspective for both of you, is that you are seeing it, but you're able to remain objective because it's not colored yet by your own experience. And so I think that is I will definitely share my challenges and things like that, but it also, I think I see this for a lot of people in the birth world is in a positive way. The work they do is impacted by their own experiences, but sometimes that's not a positive because they're showing up in the way that they needed somebody to show up for them, or they're doing what they thought would have worked for them. So we're going to come back and do this in a year and talk about how your
Got
support.
a few more months before my own journey.
and just chat about, because it'll be interesting to see how your support changes.
Of course.
And I think for people who get into it before, and I started specializing in pregnancy before I had kids, and it definitely changes. And I'm like, I think if you can kind of blend both, be able to step out of your own experience for a minute and try to see what's going to serve this parent in this moment. I think as so many people do, that I was adequately prepared for postpartum.
So it's going to be natural. It's just going to come to you.
Like, we've got this. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen to me.
And I'm like, yes, information is power. So like, I've read the books, I've done the things, I've talked to the people, like, we got this, right? And to a degree, yes, but birth also went very differently than what we had planned for. And so, I, on one hand, wanted to hurry up and get home because I was planning on being in the birth center. But on the other hand, I was like, I can't even get myself out of bed. So maybe we stay in the hospital. I had support at home. My mom came and stayed with us for a period of time. I always call her my little house elf. She's very much the, like, I'll do the cooking, I'll do the cleaning. Like, I'm going to be in the background, like, doing the things that you can't do. And not trying to be like, I'll hold the baby while you do the things, right? And so that was very,
What a dream.
So I didn't know that that's what I needed. That's just who she already is. And my mother-in-law is a little bit on the other side of it, of willing to help when asked, but I'm also kind of like, I don't know what to do. And I usually do try to play hostess. So there's like a little bit of pressure of like, well, this is my house and you're the guest and I need to do the things. But then you're postpartum, is like, no, you shouldn't do any of the things. These people need to do it for you. But do they know that? Do you know that? Like, so that, navigating that the first time was a little bit challenging, and nobody had that conversation with me about planning for the help. How do people help? I did have some friends who brought some meals by, which was very helpful. We had done some meal prepping and freezing and things ourselves. But even then, just trying to navigate people coming over, having guests staying with you while you're just very vulnerable and healing. The healing was much more difficult than I had anticipated. I was anticipating this pretty like low-key birth center birth, and I felt really good in my pregnancy. I didn't have a lot of limitations, so I kind of expected the same thing postpartum, and that was not the case. First couple of weeks of recovery was very difficult. I was super antsy. I'm not a person that sits still and chills a lot, so that was really hard. I definitely overdid it. I thought I tore stitches, increase in bleeding. I ended up with plugged ducts because, now in retrospect, I was overdoing it a lot. And that was just a drive of not for anybody else's expectations. I was just like, I can't sit. Like, I am antsy. And it was really hard to sit still. I did a much better job, I think, the second time around. Lessons learned. But I think we do a better job on the whole of preparing moms for the challenges of physical recovery now than what I feel like I got, even already sort of being in the world and having a lot of education. But like with everything else, you haven't experienced it before. So I still think that can come as a surprise. We had a mom recently had her second baby, and she had more tearing than she anticipated and was kind of like, I thought this would be an easier recovery, and it was not. She had a C-section with the first. And it wasn't because of how things went at the end of that. And so it wasn't harder. It was just also very challenging in a different way. And so, yes, I it's the preparing you, like, okay, make sure that you have help. Make sure that you have, period panties, or, it's like we can tell them, like, here's all the things to do, but I don't think there's really a great way to prepare them for just how physically challenging it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Even if everything goes really beautifully and really
Mhm.
easily, there's still tissue swelling and you're leaking everywhere
Yeah.
and your boobs hurt and hormones. I don't remember there being the same dramatic hormone swings with my first, and I don't know if that had anything to do with girl versus boy, but I remember after my second just having a day where I'm like, I am sobbing. I am not a crier.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel fine. Like, I'm not sad. I'm not angry. Like, I
Just
don't even know.
crying,
I am
right?
just
Yeah.
sobbing for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird to feel, I think that the physical changes and the feeling weird in your body in pregnancy
Mhm.
helps prepare you for feeling weird in your body in postpartum,
Yeah.
except you don't think you're going to feel weird in your body. You think you're going to very quickly feel at home in
Like
your body again. And I'm like,
yourself.
no, that's
Mhm.
going to be like 12
A
to 18
bit.
months
Yeah.
minimum.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I think even, yes, we've talked about in previous episodes about the external pressure to like be and do and heal and go back to normal postpartum. I think a lot of that is internalized. If it's not pressure, it's still an expectation that's there,
Mhm.
that it's just going to happen
Yeah.
naturally. And I'm like, it probably will, but in the pressure to get there faster, it also interferes with the healing,
Yeah.
with bonding with baby, with hormonal balance,
Mhm.
with healing in a way that sets you up for success as you return to exercise and now take care of an infant.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's the
Well, and
piece.
so much of it is counterintuitive,
Yes.
right? Like we need you to do so much less so that you might be able to heal a little
Yeah.
bit faster in
And
the
do
long
more
run.
later.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah.
But like you said, most people that we work with
Mhm.
are not very good at sitting still, myself included. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But it's that, like, if they don't know that that is what's going to help you heal faster in the long run, what are we supposed to,
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I think it's a beautiful segue to kind of get into like why postpartum doulas. Like, because Dr. Jamie and I, we see, I mean, if they're on top of it and, we do a good enough education in pregnancy, like we do get to see families like 2.5, 3 weeks postpartum,
Yeah.
which is much sooner than normal,
Mhm.
I would say. And we're very lucky
For any other
that way.
provider,
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But you're like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Like you're there once
Hours,
one baby's
days.
home,
Oh,
like
it's
I'm
great.
there.
Yeah.
So let's kind of dive into like, what is a postpartum doula?
Mhm.
What's their role? What are they? What aren't they? But
Yeah.
then also, what does that first 2 weeks
Yeah.
once baby's home kind of
Mhm.
look like from your perspective?
Yeah, sure thing. I think the most important piece of it is kind of touching back on what Dr. Jamie was saying, is that slowness is so
Mhm.
necessary, which is why a postpartum doula is necessary,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So we talk about the 5-5-5 rule often in our space. This is the first 5 days after baby is born, horizontal, lying down in your bed,
Mhm.
not moving a
Yep.
ton.
Did
You're
you
getting
do
up
that?
to go to the bathroom?
No. So, I mean, she was born in the evening. The next day was in the hospital. So, yes. And then by the next morning, I was like, I'm out of here. Like,
Yeah.
I was ready. My OB knew that I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And he said, I will sign you out at 24 hours, but I would strongly recommend you stay another night.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I did. I think the second day at home, yes. The third day at home, I think, was when we went to Target because I was antsy.
And I wonder if that's what you see so often too, right?
It's
Like,
usually
if
like
on day
I get to go
5,
on a
it's
walk with my
fuzzy.
baby in the stroller. I'm so excited. I get to go like be, the
Mhm.
mom that I've pictured myself being,
Yeah.
which is so sweet. And sometimes there's this birth high where you're like, I just did that. I
Yeah.
get to go and be this badass woman, like walking
Mhm.
around with my baby.
Fascinating.
And for the sake of the core and the pelvic floor, we would love for those first 5 days to really be sedentary.
It's just way too soon.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
whether it was day 3 or day 5, it was too soon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was just riding to and walking around Target. Like it was literally nothing and it
Yeah.
was way too
It's
much.
so
And my
much.
bleeding went up and I
Yep.
thought I tore my stitches
Yep.
and
Yep.
everything hurt.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is it worse now
Right.
than it was? That's
when
why.
it's like it's this thing where there's so much non-linear progress in postpartum, right? And so it is a little bit of a like, okay, test out this much. What did that feel like? What did that do in your body? Too much? Great, let's back up. but the stakes are a little bit higher. And so like if we do too much, it's like 4 steps back, maybe more than that. And so it's really, really like we have to take baby steps. But so what else is happening in those first 5 days, right? Usually we have a 2-day pediatrician visit. Well, crap, you do have to get up to go do that unless you have some magical setup where someone's coming to your house. But so we're doing that mindfully. And once you get back home, back to rest. But also, this is usually when the biggest swing of hormones is happening, days like 3 to 5-ish, when milk is coming in. Regardless of what your choice is for feeding your baby, that's going to happen. And so we're dealing with engorgement. And like, oh my God, there are melons on my chest. What do I do about this?
You wake up and you're like, what?
Whoa. I thought I could sleep on my stomach. Now I can't now. So that's happening in combination with that huge hormonal shift and the number of partners who I see who are just like, what happened to you? And with the crying, like, there doesn't have to be a good or a bad reason for it. It's just probably going to happen. And it might be that you're like so overjoyed and so beyond grateful and you just can't stop crying. Cool. That's a reason.
I feel so bad for Jared when it's my turn. I already cry at everything. Poor guy.
There have already been times where Mark has been like, this is not normal. Are you okay? And I'm like, no, but yes. But so that's happening in the first 5 days. And that's usually also when everyone's like, oh my God, we have to come meet the baby. Like, please come let us hang out. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be topless. Like, baby is feeding minimum every 2 to 3 hours. And we need that to be happening. Which I would say is probably the other thing that's maybe surprising in the first 5 days, really the first 2 weeks, is like baby's going to be super sleepy, most likely, and needing to be woken up to like make sure that we're getting enough milk. Also for your milk supply, like we need to be expressing every 2 to 3 hours, which is relentless. Really, really relentless,
Day
especially
in,
after
day out, overnight.
And who knows how long your labor was, who knows how long you weren't sleeping. So that's a rude awakening.
And that's I'll never forget a client of ours. In the first 2 weeks, her mom, first grandbaby of the family, she was very excited, not here yet, but would text her like, can you send me pictures where the baby isn't sleeping? And she was like, and I was like, do you want me to rough draft a text message for you? Because like, that's what they do.
Remember, you had a baby, right? Like that's all they do. They eat, they sleep, they poop.
And
That's
they get so
it.
excited and they mean well, but also it's like a very real like expectation to set for family and friends of like, the first 2 weeks is for you and for us. And like we're figuring it out and we're healing and like we have to figure out this rhythm together. And my baby's going to be very sleepy. That's what they're meant to do.
They're just tired. They went through a whole journey themselves. But yeah, so the first 5 days, that's kind of what we're dealing with. The next 5 days we say is on the bed. So maybe you're lounging a little bit. Like if you get to the couch, cool. But you're still sitting down for most of the day in a perfect world. And then the last 5 of that 5-5-5 rule is just around the bed. So maybe we're like walking around a little bit more. There are certainly movements and breath work that we can be doing in those first 2 weeks. But for the most part, for the sake of the core, for the sake of all of that good skin to skin bonding time with baby, we would really, really love for there to be very minimal like actual movement around. And so then we're like, well, but do you mean like someone has to bring me food to the bed? Someone has to fill up my water and someone has to like, what do you mean? I'm like, yes. And exactly it cannot just be on your partner because they are going to burn out so fast because they also were awake for how long for labor and delivery. And then they're probably also helping you with all the diaper changes. All the diaper changes.
They may still be working.
They might still be
working.
See
them sometimes work.
There
that
may
way
not
there's
be
time
a
later.
partner. Like who knows what that situation looks like, but it certainly can't just be 2 people. And it's tricky when we do have, if we have, what did you call her? Your house elf? Your little house elf grandparents. I wish everybody had that.
I do.
And we just don't usually have that. And so when people are coming over, they need to know that's the expectation of like, no, she's not going to be coming down to greet you at the door. Like she's going to be in bed Is your relationship to the point where like, yeah, you can come up and sit on her bed with her and like see her topless?
Yeah.
Maybe not. But also so much else needs to be happening just to keep the house running. Like fur babies, other children in the house, you know, other things need to be happening. And that is,
there's still laundry. There's more laundry.
There's so much laundry.
You need to be fed, right? And you need to be fed like healthy, nutritious food frequently.
Yes.
Like if anything, the demands of the house increase.
Correct.
They don't decrease. And now you have who is probably the primary housekeeper, house tender
often.
doing nothing.
Yeah.
And like for me, like messy house also creates
So
stress.
much stress, yeah.
And so
how can
like
you relax?
Yeah. So that was a stress for me. I think that's one of the hopes is like just trying to anticipate all of the demands that go up, your availability that goes down, and how do we plan for that, right?
For sure.
One of the things I like to say to patients is everything you do that requires energy, which is getting out of bed and going to the bathroom, is taking energy away from either healing or milk production. Those are really your body's two jobs at this point. And if anything else that expends energy is robbing from those two things.
Well,
so
like the social demand too of handling visitors. Like that's so much energy that goes into those.
Yeah.
Especially if you're an introvert.
Yes.
Especially if these people are living in your home. And I think that's a big challenge we see a lot is like, oh, well, when people visit us, they stay with us. I'm like, I get that. But... And
hotels and Airbnbs are
just
as good.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't think we can say that enough. Of like, it's rarely ever as simple as, oh, my parents, oh, his parents, oh, my sister, you know, and they're just gonna come and they're gonna stay with us. And like, are they a helper?
Right.
Like, what does it look like when they typically visit?
Are they waking up with the baby? Like, what is going on that they need to be in your house?
Even before that, like when they come and stay with you, like, are they in the kitchen helping you prepare meals? Are they going to the store with you? You know, if you're sitting and folding laundry, are they pulling stuff out and doing that with you? Like underwear, maybe not, but like towels, like, are they already, do they at the very least clean up after themselves when they're in your home? Like people who really heavily need to be hosted are not somebody that, they definitely can't be staying in your home in this first 2 weeks. And best case is they may not even be visiting for those first 2 weeks.
That's what I always recommend for all of my clients.
And the reason why too is not because we're against families.
No.
But we are pro your healing. That's the biggest thing. And yes, we used to do this in villages and things like that, but our villages now are very different than what they were prior to. And when we were more oriented around family and taking care of each other and things like that, now we all have our own lives. And so we've kind of, just what I've seen in the last few years, we've kind of stepped away from like being the helpers in the village and just kind of like, well, it's about me. Unfortunately, like I want to hold the baby because this is really exciting. And it's like, that's awesome. But if you want to hold the baby, you have to do some chores first, right? Like that is a huge impact when it comes to what postpartum looks like for a lot of families, from what I've seen. And so let's kind of segue into like, what does a postpartum doula do?
Exactly, because it's not, so many people are like, oh my gosh, you just get to hold babies all day. And I'm like, I do hold a lot of babies. It's great. But no, that's not the primary reason that I'm coming. If the parents are like, I really need you to hold this baby so I can go and shower and be a human for a second, great. I would love to hold your baby, or while you're napping, whatever. But basically what a postpartum doula is there to do is to make healing and bonding the top priorities. And so anything else in the whole system that is going on is what the postpartum doula does. This is bottle washing, this is pump parts, this is laundry, this is dishes, this is feeding everybody in the house. Whether that looks like just like reheating whatever they have, or meal prep, or making snacks and meals in their home. It's ideally being that little house elf, like making a little reset happen so that the stress level in the house comes down, so that everybody's like, oh, okay, that like overflowing trash is gone. This, you know, this system is reset. We have an opportunity to just be ourselves as this new dynamic and just be with baby. Now, beyond that, there is a lot of education that's usually happening. And this to kind of the point that I was saying earlier, I love educating in pregnancy. And so that maybe a little bit, not less of it needs to happen, but more specific things can happen. Like, I don't want you to feel like you need to be the master of every single thing that can happen with your healing or with your baby.
Yep.
But I want you to have a general idea so that we can dive into specifically what's going on with your baby, what's going on with your healing and recovery. And so that is either me going over like, this is within the scope of normal. These are the things that we can do to handle it. Or good news, I know all the providers in Denver or wherever you are, and I'm happy to refer you out to someone who is a little bit more prepared to support this level of whatever we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So it's resources, it's education, it's being a third or however many set of eyes in the house to be checking on everybody's mental health. We talked a little bit about those first 2 weeks as like the primary lying in period. I also just like to call out that rule used to be 777, and we just can't handle that. So there are a lot of cultures that do a full 40 days of this kind of true lying in period. But during that period really is when we need eyes on mental health. And the first 2 weeks are almost certainly going to be a roller coaster. The hormonal changes that are happening are unlike any that we ever experience at any other point in life.
It's worse than menarche. It's worse than menopause. Like, I'm going to say worse. It's more dramatic.
Adolescence.
The shifts happen faster. The swings are higher and
so
lower.
dramatic.
It's the most dramatic hormonal shift.
And so
we don't say dramatic as in like
no.
It's
it's a huge shift.
Change.
Yes.
So that's why I hear
there might be some drama, but like not.
I'm like, we're not dramatic.
No,
no.
Swings are huge.
And to that point too, it's so often it feels like we're a little dismissive of it because it's like, oh, she's just postpartum and she's hormonal. Like, no. What she is feeling is so real in her body, in her heart, in her mind. And a bit is expected past about 2 weeks if those kinds of fluctuations are sticking around or if we're really feeling some depth. That's not necessarily within the scope of normal. And that's where we need to be reaching out for more support and resources. So it's all of those things. It's also trying to help them mitigate the family situation. And so like one of the things that I like to do with my clients, meeting with them prenatally, at least once, usually 2 or 3 times, honestly. And most of my clients are students of mine at yoga class. So we get to hang out a lot. But we talk about creating a like run of house document so that when people are coming over, you don't have to ask a million questions like, well, do you like this kind of shirt hung up? Or do you, how do you like your counters cleaned and all this kind of stuff? This doesn't just go for family who are coming in and visiting and supporting, but like half the time this goes for partners too, right? And so making sure that everything that lives in that birthing person's brain and everything that usually takes their energy, someone could very easily come in and be like, great, I will go and take your trash out. Like, this is the code to the back gate or whatever, those kinds of things. So that's one of the ways that we talk preemptively about preparing your house to run kind of without you for a little bit.
Yeah, that's so great. So necessary. Dr. Jamie, I want people to understand the first 2 weeks too for like neonatal development and infant development and what's happening and everything too, because we tend to not focus as much on mom and only on baby, but then we actually don't know what's happening with baby. And so
what's normal with
what's
baby?
Happening with mom and what's happening with baby and like how do we combine those and understand them both, because that's where I feel like a lot of partners get overwhelmed because they feel like they're trying to understand it all. And we do have a lack of education when it comes to, I would say, newborn development in like those first 2 weeks once we bring baby home.
I do think, I think it's something we hear sometimes for months from partners is, one, they're not starting off typically with the same level of connection that we have as the person growing the human inside of us. They are going to experience hormonal shifts as well. It's often secondary to sleep. But I think that the reality is newborns do not understand that they are not, that they and mom are not the same person. There's no recognition by their nervous system or their consciousness that mom is not self. And so it's not that your baby doesn't like you. It's not that you haven't bonded. It's not, it has nothing to do with anyone else. It's that these two systems are so deeply entwined. And that process of separation does begin happening at the moment of birth, but it is still a lengthy process. So in that first 2 weeks, often the only place that that baby will settle is on mom. And that is another piece that also is extremely challenging as the mom, as you're trying to heal. And so a lot of moms talk about getting touched out. I think that's really hard for partners too. Like, I want to hold you, I want to snuggle you, and you're like, don't touch me. And it's not
also so
sexual
right
or anything. Yes, it's just like, oh my God, no, the hot baby is always on me. Like, so I think there's with the infant development, and in order to establish their own respiratory rate, their own heart rate, all of those things are happening. Yes, body temperature regulation, all of that happens nervous system to nervous system, skin to skin, with being on and near mom. And so in our society, there is often this pressure to like, the baby needs to sleep in the crib right away, or we want to hold the baby. And there are a lot of things that are about that separation. I'm like, everything about separation goes against the nature of this time, what's necessary for mom and breastfeeding, but also what's necessary for infant development. So the more separation we have, the more it can delay some of these regulatory things that baby system is trying to build.
Co-regulation is all they know. That's what they're built to do.
And that's why you hear a lot of like the dyad, what is the dyad, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, the partner is involved in that too, but like, it's really mom and baby, or who birthed baby with baby, because there is that co-regulation that's there and that's necessary for survival for both parties, honestly. And
I think, we use phrases like, babies are going to get spoiled, or they'll become dependent on, napping on you and things like that. I'm like, I mean, if nobody ever holds your baby in 6 months, like, let's revisit the conversation. But in the first 2 weeks, no. And, realistically, it is going to be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks before we can expect them to comfortably sleep elsewhere. Some babies may do that at 2 weeks, and some it might take 3 or 4 months, right? So I think it's, for a lot of people, we have a tendency to focus on the negativity of that co-regulation and on mom. And dads can do skin to skin too, right? Babies are going to learn that way also. They can do skin to skin with grandma. Like, it's not that, like, that also helps, but it's not the same. Their nervous system does not recognize dad as self. And so it's still good, but it is also different. And it's not about withholding baby. It's not about not wanting partners or anyone else to bond with baby. It's that if we can preserve this 2 weeks for that co-regulation, it sets you up for more success moving forward, right? It can just be, it might be baby steps forward, but it's all steps forward versus, like you said, 1 step forward, 4 steps back. Now we're working from a deficit, and that's stressful on everybody.
So dysregulated, and everyone is scrambling, and everyone's nervous systems are heightened. It's just
And if mom is stressed, baby feels that. If dad is stressed, mom feels that, baby feels that. If baby's stressed, mom and dad are stressed. Like, it is very much this kind of vicious cycle. And I'm like, sometimes it's that reset. Like, we need somebody to reset the house, like, get in the bathtub with the baby, like, you got to reset, because if you're not calm, baby can't be calm. If you're not resting, baby can't rest. So it is that all of the signaling and everything baby is trying to do is coming from the adults around them. And
absolutely.
So, there's all this development happening, but I think the biggest key takeaway, hopefully, is that in order for that to happen, we have to have an environment that allows that regulation to happen in a state of calm. Their nervous system is learning. And if we teach them in the first 2 weeks or 4 weeks that
it's a stressful
we swim in a state of stress, and this world is stressful, and my adults are stressed, like that, it sets a tone. It doesn't mean your baby's going to be stressed for the rest of your life. It's not a, it's not a life sentence of that, but you're you're setting the tone, and what's the tone we want to set.
It's so hard to regulate yourself too when your little one is understandably not regulated themselves. So,
and this isn't ever to put blame on the parents for doing something wrong, but I think it is a big call to find the support and prepare for this time, just like you do for pregnancy, just like you do for birth, and honestly, just like you do for like buying a car or your own house. Like this time is going to be forever changing too as babies go through their development, as they get older and turn into toddlers. Like you need to have that support system. And so how can we, from your perspective, I would say from both of your perspectives, right, going through it and being in it for so long, and then also like being at the heart of it too, like how can we prepare before baby arrives? Like what are things that we can do to prepare for postpartum before baby arrives, so we have some things kind of like ready to go? And then if we do have like someone notices maybe our emotional state is not where it should be or where we want it to be, and then like what do we do, right? Like how do we set that up really well before baby gets here?
True thing.
I mean, one of the things you mentioned is, you know, kind of creating that list of how things go in the house. If I had done that, that really would have helped. So, you know, like having it be my mom who's there, so who does have some level of familiarity and who is probably entirely responsible for my level of like OCD and type A around Jeff.
If it ain't,
keep
if it
things
ain't
very
mom
clean.
it's not clean.
There you go. So she taught me to clean, so she's going to
Yeah.
clean it the way that I would clean it. But even just like, you know, there's a right and wrong way to load the dishwasher, right? Like these things, these plates go here and these plates go there. Like if I had been a little bit more prepared, I think, for the emotional stress and been able to acknowledge that those are the types of things that stress me out, I might have been a little bit more able to be like, Jamie, just let it go. It really doesn't matter right now. Instead, it just, those things that literally don't matter just added to the stress because I was already in a state of stress. And, you know, in retrospect, with many years removed, I don't recall feeling highly stressed in the moment, right? I didn't have a baby who wouldn't sleep. I didn't have a ton of breastfeeding struggles. Like everything was new, but it wasn't, I think, more difficult than the average. There were some things like the healing aspect that were definitely more difficult, but there is just a heightened state of stress because everything is new. The demands are constant. The disrupted sleep.
You don't have your usual ways of de-stressing, which you and I have talked about a lot. And so kind of like wrapping in what you're saying, it's so much self-reflection and it's so much conversation with your partner about what are the things that really do just set me to another level of stress. Is it not going to the gym? Because, we're not going to have that for a little bit. Is it having time to myself? We're not going to have that for a little bit. So thinking and really trying to put into practice ways that you can regulate your nervous system as if you were already postpartum in pregnancy. Whether that is taking a sitz bath or bath, depending on how far along you are, but whether it is meditation or finding some, you know, ways that you can ground yourself that you know are going to be the tools, maybe the only tools that you have available in postpartum. So a lot of self-reflection, a lot of conversation with your partner, because a lot of, not a lot of us, but for those of us who don't necessarily experience those swings in everyday life, like that's going to be new and maybe scary for both of you. And so, hey, what does it look like instead of being like, maybe you should like relax? Can you chill? Like
maybe you should smile more.
I wonder how that's going to go over.
Calm down always helps me calm down.
Really helps. It really does. No, but finding like what's the code word or what's the like weekly check-in where you know that someone is going to be asking you these kinds of questions. And sure, you're going to have those you know, questionnaires at your 2-week appointment. You're going to have someone checking on you from the outside, but having someone who knows and loves you and knows what your normal is, be prepared with you, I think is huge. And so to that point too, like what does preparation look like? Yes, there are books. Yes, there are all the podcasts that we can listen to. Love it. And you should do those things. I'm also biased because I teach a postpartum essentials class. And I think that this education around what what is the realm of normal that we're looking for? Again, not looking for you to be an expert in every single different thing that can happen, but having whoever is going to be in your birth circle, in your postpartum circle, maybe even including grandparents, have a little bit of up-to-date education, because, you know, a lot of our grandparents, things have changed in 30 to 60 years. It's different, as it should be. And they often want to know how to help. So that's where that run of house sheet comes into play. Like, they want to know how they can be supportive, but it's like just more work on you to have to say in the moment, this is what I want.
Absolutely.
So having that run of house, having everybody just be a little bit prepared with you. Preparing food is a huge thing, or preparing how you will get your food, whether that is a ton of meal prep. Do I think that everybody should probably get a deep freezer? Yes, I do, for the food ahead of time and for your breast milk, if that's part of your plan too later. But ahead of time, I think it's one of the things that I think is just so sweet is like parents think, oh, we're going to have like these, you know, meals that we're going to meal prep. And I'm like, what? Yeah, and also probably just like a handheld breakfast burrito will do. Like a few, you know, some grab and go things. The beautiful, elaborate sit-down dinners are going to take a backseat for a little bit. So when you're planning all of your freezer meals, think like protein and fat heavy snacks as much as we can. Get your fresh fruit and fiber and all of that good stuff. But
I say heat and eat.
Yes.
Like, pull it out of the freezer.
I love that. Yeah.
Heat it in the oven, heat it in the microwave. I don't care. You probably need food that is cooked. Like as much as they live fresh fruits and veggies. When we look at like Ayurveda, like we need stuff that doesn't require a lot of digestion. We need stuff that is nutrient dense, proteins, fats.
Not lasagna.
Not lasagna.
At least not for the first 6 weeks. Maybe for your partner.
Not just carbs and cheese.
And carbs and cheese.
And like to that point too, I do think a lot of the meals that people like to bring, I'm like, great, partner, eat that. Toddler at home, eat that. Awesome. Mom's needs to be a little bit more specific and different.
And that's where like we know some really wonderful perinatal nutritionists in our community and who we refer to a lot of. And like, that's a great resource to just outsource. Like, can you sit down with me and give me weeks 1 through 16 meal ideas, a plan, things that we can do grab and go and that we can like put in to this list of people that they can go to the grocery store and bring it to us and things like that. Like, I think that's a huge resource that is very underutilized.
I mean, that's daunting if you're not a family that already does meal prep, right? You plan your meals, you get your grocery lists, you prep your veggies. If you're not doing that consistently,
that's a shock.
That's impossible.
Cooking every day is not going to happen. And
if you are someone who does it, then you can wrap your head around how to get it done, but you're also not going to be doing it once baby gets here. You've got to have somebody else doing the actual shopping and food prepping and cooking most likely.
And because too, we talk a lot about as well in your workshop and then in the clinic, is like gravity's not really your friend for your pelvic floor right after birth. And so we don't want you standing and cooking these elaborate meals a long time because we need you to heal.
You can walk to the kitchen and you can put it in the microwave and then you can sit and then you can go get it and then you come back and sit and eat.
That's right.
That's how much standing you're allowed to do.
That's right.
What other things from both of your perspectives can we do to kind of help prep a little bit more? I think lactation.
I was gonna say.
Go for it.
I mean, I think the main thing is just preemptive support. So even if you have the most beautiful, flawless breastfeeding journey, I've never had a client who I wasn't a little bit thinking, you probably could benefit from seeing an IBCLC. It would probably help in XYZ way. But I don't really love the term newborn trenches, but when we're tired in the postpartum days is not the time to be Googling and figuring out who your insurance takes. Most insurance carriers cover up to 6 in-home visits with an IBCLC, which is unheard of in the way that things are usually covered for us. I mean, but setting that up beforehand just so that you have the number, they know that you just had a baby or they knew your due date-ish, you're on their radar, great, come on over, help us out. That goes for all of the other resources that you need in your life as in postpartum, which is a perinatal chiropractor, which is body work, which is mental health support, like all of these other things, dog walkers. There are so many things that happen with our fur babies and postpartum that we could be a whole different episode. But I just think that having those people already in your network is a really, really good idea, so that nobody is scrambling again to like put out a fire that's happening. We already know who's going to come over and support.
Yeah. And even like if we want to, mostly breastfeed, but we want to understand pumping in case we have to do it, because we can have this plan, just like birth, of what it's going to look like, and it might not look that way. But understanding how do you clean a pump, how do you work a pump, is your flange the right size? Because you say this a lot, right, Dr. Jamie, with our clients, is usually it's the mechanical part of the pump. If it's not right, it's not you and it's not your body
100%.
that's failing you. It's usually who is extracting milk from what.
I do think what I've heard from new parents for a long time is that breastfeeding challenges surprise them. And part of me is like, it's 2026. Like, we live in a bubble. And part of me is like, it's 2026. How are you surprised by this? This is why there's been a rise in lactation support and blah, But it is natural, right? Like, our body is, as you said, whether you plan to breastfeed or not, you are going to begin lactating. And so, yes, biologically, this process is going to begin in your body. You've never done it before. Your baby's never done it before.
You've never seen it done before.
So it isn't just automatically everything isn't going to automatically work exactly as it's supposed to. There could be challenges with your nipple shape, or if you've ever had any type of surgery, if you've ever had a biopsy, if you've had a reduction, if any of that has the potential to impact. How's your lymphatic drainage in your armpits? Like, there's so many different things that can happen with mom.
Not to mention baby's body.
And then there's even more things that can happen with baby in their body. So I think that one of the important preparations for this period is either go to a breastfeeding class or do a one-on-one consult with an IBCLC beforehand, so that you do know what to expect. They're also going to give you a kind of a list of like, here's what's normal. Here's some very simple troubleshooting. Here's different holds. If the only one you've seen in the movies isn't working for you, here's 2 other ones to try, so that maybe you don't have to immediately go to, I got to do my insurance, or I got to pay for this, or I got to bring somebody in. Like, you at least are like, well, here's a few things that I can try. And then you have a sense of what's normal, what's not. When do I need to reach out for help? So I think that is a way to prepare for something. We take a childbirth ed class, right? Like, we're hopefully learning how to, change diapers and burp and bathe the baby. We need that same level of preparation for breastfeeding if you plan to do it at all. And that's even the lactation, where even if you're like, I'm not going to feed, I'm only going to pump, you're still lactating. You're not pumping efficiently if your flange doesn't fit. Do you need a hospital grade pump? Are you trying to survive on a hand pump?
Do you need donor milk? Do you need,
there's a lot of pieces to this. And feeding your baby, this is number one for keeping your baby alive. So this has to happen in some way. And if there's stress around this, there's going to be stress around everything, because like you said, it's every 2 to 3 hours. So I do think that really thinking that through and having a plan, at least having an IBCLC that you're aware of. I mean, this is, I think, one really, really important role of the postpartum doula is it is this third set of eyes. I would say your doula is your walking, talking encyclopedia, right? So you may not have all the answers, but you know who does. We know how to get you to the right resource, to the right support person. And when you have someone that you already trust, then inherently you feel that you can trust the person that they're referring you to, right? So that, I think that's a key piece too.
Well, and the trickiest part with talking to clients about lactation support is the second I say, oh, what's your plan for lactation support? And they're like, oh yeah, our OB said that we have lactation consultants at the hospital. We're good. I'm like, okay. So your breast milk, when you are at the hospital, looks nothing like what your breast milk is going to look like 5 to 7 days afterward. Your breasts in the hospital are going to look and act nothing like what's happening once you're already at home. And so all of the beautiful holds that we're learning in the hospital, where there are like 5 nurses and lactation consultants, everyone around you to support, is not going to look like what it looks like when you are in your rocking chair or in your bed or whatever. And so having someone, it always gets me a little bit. I love lactation consultants in hospitals. Thank you for doing your job. And that is not enough. Mm-hmm. That's not going to support you at home, which is where your entire breastfeeding journey is going to happen.
Yeah. Looking at a baby latched on in the hospital and going, that looks good.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Colostrum is different than how much they have to transfer with breast milk.
So different.
We're not dealing with engorgement.
No.
We're not the baby isn't starving in that moment, right? Like there's so many things that change in that first latch in the hospital to 5 days at home postpartum.
Definitely.
It's almost everything about that is different.
And the way, in the best way possible, lactation consultants in the hospital, their number one job is to figure out how to get baby to latch. And if that looks like a nipple shield, or if that looks like a bunch of different other things that maybe aren't the best thing for the long term, they forget to educate that, like, I actually don't want you to triple feed for longer than 4 days or something like this. I don't want you to be using nipple
not
shields.
8 weeks?
No, I do not want you to be doing that. They forget, I think, that new parents are like, great, you told me to do this. I'm going to do this for the rest of time.
This is what it looks like.
Yes. And so many other skills with putting babies down. If they do want to do independent naps, like with what worked in the first 2 weeks, like that's probably not going to be working by the time that baby is a few months old. Mm-hmm. And so just that little piece too, like it's just not the same when you're in the hospital as when you are at home.
Yeah. And I think that applies to everything, right? Like this whole period is so dynamic, right? We can talk about the challenges of the first 2 weeks. We can talk about 6 weeks. I think that's a key piece is yes, we want you to be prepared. We want you to put a plan in place as much as you can, but also just like with birth, you can't just adapt, right? Like you can't just assume everything's going to go according to plan or what you planned for is going to work for you or your baby. And you can get great, effective, phenomenal advice on day 1 or day 5 that is no longer applicable on day 15 or 6 months in. And so I think being willing to ask for help, understanding who to ask for help for the specific things. And I think if you're not getting the help you want or that you need, or the help that's being offered isn't yielding the results that you're looking for, then we need to ask somebody else. And it's okay to ask more than one person, get a second opinion, switch providers if it's not working. Like you are in control of the situation in the sense that you deserve support. You deserve to be making forward progress, whether it's in your body, whether it's with baby sleep or with feeding. And if that's not happening, like it is unfortunately because while we do it, and again, we live in this bubble of like, there's so much support out here. How are people not finding support? Like, what can we do? It's when you're at home and you are very isolated, it's hard. It's hard to get outside of the bubble and outside, but please do. And have that conversation with partners. Your partner knows you. And so setting the tone of like, she may be very emotional and here's what's normal for that. And here's what's not. Empowering partners and, or a grandma, if you don't have a doula, right? If you don't have the trained professional there to be that third set of eyes, there still needs to be somebody hopefully who's sort of watching your family dynamic and is able to recognize we need to bring somebody else in, or we need to get you out to a support person. Because I think as new parents, like you don't really know what's normal. And we've heard parents say like, well, I've been triple feeding for 8 weeks because that's what they told me to do. And they don't know that that's not normal and that's not the rest of breastfeeding. Or, on the other side of it, that their baby is still very sleepy and still taking an hour to feed at 6 weeks because that's what was normal at the beginning. So there's
time is such a blur in that time. It's like, they're so little, and I'm like, and also things should be changing at this point.
And I would say day by day, probably not. Week by week, when you're in it, no. I'm like, but by 2 weeks, by 2 week measures, things should be getting better, not worse. And if anything's getting worse from in a 2 week range, like we gotta pull somebody in here.
And I think too, we've just been talking about like how much support is available and all of this good stuff. And I think one of the like pressures that I notice a lot of my clients dealing with is the fact that previous generations didn't necessarily have this, like immediately didn't have this. And so they're comparing their experience to like, well, my mom did this by herself and she had 4 kids and like she was doing all this stuff, whatever. That's not the expectation. And like that shouldn't be what we're comparing our experience to, because go ahead and ask your mom if she had been able to have this support, how much she would have loved it and how much it would have helped her set herself up for parenthood in a better and more regulated way. I've never met a grandparent who was like, no, you shouldn't be doing this because I was, pull yourself by your bootstraps. Like, no, we want better for the next generations. And I think it's easy to think, well, no, I should be able to do this on my own. And that is, I mean, we hate shoulds in everything in this world, but that is one that just breaks my heart a little bit. Cause I'm like, no, if you asked, they would want you to have that support. Put it on your registry. Like I've got doula funds on my registry right now. And so because I know that that's the kind of support that everyone in my life wants for me, even if they can't be there physically to do it.
And that's a great point, like for registries, and we can wrap it up because I know we can talk forever, but like because things cost money, right? And that's a very big deterrent for a lot of parents getting the support that they really need is because of cost. And so on your registry, preemptively, let's put some money aside for certain things. Funds wise is such a great idea instead of the $300 bottle washer.
Do not buy a bottle washer. I'm looking at the camera. Don't buy it.
It takes up so much space and it's like the capacity is so terrible. Anyway, but
the focus on the things that are theoretically supposed to make our lives easier, but
just
ultimately
get the support that thing is replacing. It's not replacing it.
It's like having, like, that's why your registry is there, is yes, we can have the fun, cute clothes and things like that. But if your community really wants to support you, that money that you were going to buy that cute little onesie set for, whatever, put it towards doula funds or put it towards lactation or put it towards some type of funding that can be covered in some way. Absolutely.
Or I would say when all else fails, buy not newborn, buy diapers. Buy them a 1 or 2 or 3. They're going to use them.
Gift cards.
Yes. And it means that then parents' funds can go towards the postpartum doula instead of towards the diapers or toward, like, those are absolute necessities. Are they fun to buy? No. I know that was like, so you're donate a big chunk of money towards a doula and then buy a cute little onesie because it's fun for you, but I do think, registries they're very bloated right now. There's a lot of products. There's a lot of marketing out there for everything everything. Every aspect of baby care has some gimmicky products out there. And I'm like, there are not some
evidence-based.
No. And some parents will say like, oh, I couldn't have survived without this one thing. Sometimes there is one thing out there that their baby particularly liked, but there are very few parents out there like, I wouldn't have survived without all of these things. We don't need more things.
It's the people around you.
We need people.
Support around you.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I know we could talk about all of this, but as we wrap up today's conversation, one hope I have is that something for our listeners that really sticks. Is there anything that, if you could just leave one gem for our listeners, like what would that be for you?
I think what I hope for everyone is that they know that survival in postpartum is not the goal. We want you to be able to have a beautiful healing period and bonding period with your baby. And I think it's kind of this like rite of passage. It has to be the hardest period in your life. It doesn't. It's going to be hard. There's nothing we can do that's going to make it easy per se, but you deserve the support so that it doesn't feel like you are just flailing.
It can be a part of you. It doesn't have to be something that you're suffering through. It's a huge one. I love that.
I think what I would say is just give yourself some grace, because I do think that we are usually harder on ourselves than anyone else is. I think we are expecting or anticipating or falsely perceiving a lot of external judgment. And at the end of the day, if the tiny human is alive, you have succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bar for what you accomplish in a day should be very low.
Yeah.
And if you aren't getting things done that you wanted to get done, there shouldn't be a to-do list for you.
Mhm.
So put all that aside.
Yeah.
And I think that every mom is out there giving 100% of what she has to give in that day. And if you are constantly feeling like, I did nothing today, I gave nothing today, and I have nothing to give, you are depleted.
Yeah.
And so we need to find a way to restore so that, yes, you're giving yourself grace, but you're also feeling good about what you did at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay. Miss Rachel, where can people find you?
You can find me most days at Belly Bliss. But if you're looking online, my business is called Tulaco. And so Tula.co on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, truly teaching a lot of prenatal and postpartum and baby and me yoga classes, teaching postpartum essentials at Belly Bliss, and teaching newborn care essentials as well.
Yep. And yoga for the pelvic floor.
Yoga for the pelvic
Yep.
floor.
And that's
Meet the doulas.
Meet the doulas,
Yeah.
all the things, right? That's if you're Denver local.
Yes.
But like we said, if you're
Yeah.
not local and really love this episode, we have tons of resources for you, and they're going to be linked in the show notes below. Rachel also has a registry list.
Yeah, well,
thing.
and so I call it
Yeah.
Preparing the Nest.
There you go.
It's
Yeah.
a session that I do where we go over all of the brands and
Mhm.
things that I wish you would not waste your money on.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
we'll have all of those details
Yeah.
linked, like I said, in the show notes below. Thank you again, as always, for listening. And if this resonated with you, or if it resonated with anybody who you know in your circle, please send it their way and share it with them, or share it on your socials. We want this information to get out to as many people because we are so passionate about it, and we know we live in a bubble, and so we want our bubble to expand. Any questions, leave them in the comments, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much. If you found today's episode helpful, you can subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a review. It helps this podcast reach the families who need it most. You can find us at Belly Bliss in Denver and online for resources, workshops, and support. Until next time, take care of your body and trust its wisdom.